So first, thank you and welcome. This is going to be our Google File Stream questions and answer segment. Go over a quick overview here what we're going to cover today. So we're going to start off with what Google Drive is. What is it? Common misconceptions we have about Google Drive, and some of the benefits that it brings. Then from there, we're going to go into a live demo showing how it actually works. I'll be moving some files on my computer here actually into it live, through screen sharing, so that'll be fun to see. And then we'll go into migrating to and working with it. And then we'll go into questions and answers. And then we're going to finish off with where to get help. So let's go ahead and jump right in here. So what is it? Google Drive is cloud storage. And that's a service that allows you to store your files online, on a remote storage, facility like Google's or Microsoft's or Apple's. It's very similar to things you may have seen before, like Dropbox and OneDrive and those sorts of services. And what we have coming up here too is another application. Sorry, jumped ahead there. But we have an application called Google Drive File Stream that basically allows your computer to work with that cloud storage as if it's a regular file on your computer. So with that in mind, I'm going to jump into some common misconceptions here about Google Drive File Stream. The first one's I have to learn a completely new system. Google Drive File Stream is very, very easy to use. You don't have to learn anything new. If you've worked with files on your computer before, dragging from one folder to another, it's really the same concept. And also, I'll need to manually upload and download everything I work with. This is completely automatic. You don't have to worry about that. It'll all be upload and download through the application. There's nothing to do on your end. You just basically work with your files and it handles the rest. And I'm forced to switch to Google Docs, Sheets, etc. You can use all of your existing applications as you have before. There's no need to switch applications. If you used Word or Excel, or you used Photoshop or anything else, you continue to use the same programs as you have before. There's no difference there. And the last one is Google Drive will ruin the formatting of my Word and Excel files. Your files stay exactly as they were. There is no change there. Google Drive can actually modify files if you try to work with them within the web interface. It will try to work with the file and convert it. That can cause you to lose information, which we'll cover later on, or formatting. But if you work with your files and the programs that are made in, such as Microsoft Word or Excel, there'll be no difference there. They'll stay exactly as they've been. So let's go into the benefits. So the first and biggest benefit is that it works anywhere. So once your files are in Google Drive, you can work with them on any computer. It's connected to the internet. You can log into Drive. You can see all your information wherever it is. It's also safe, reliable, secure, and it's unlimited. So even though you're limited on your computer by what you can store based on the computer's internal storage, Google Drive's account is actually unlimited. So you can put things in Google Drive that aren't on your computer. There's no limit to how much you can put in there with our district accounts. It also works together with Google products and services. This is kind of a given, but we use so much Google stuff here in the district that it works seamlessly with all of it, with Google Docs, Google Sheets, Gmail, everything else. And you can easily share files within a district. So you can add collaborators, viewers, anything like that. So let's hop into what it actually looks like. So I'm going to drop the slide deck here for a second. We'll go and share my screen. You'll see what this actually looks like in person. Okay, so you should be able to see my desktop now. Let's just get Zoom minimized here. So the first thing we have to actually do is open the Google Drive File Stream application. So I'm going to go into the Finder here, and I'm going to go into my applications. And you should see Google Drive File Stream right here. You may see icon view where it looks a little bit different. If you're missing this program, it means you're probably using an older one called Backup and Sync. That's a similar program from Google. They can't both be on the computer at the same time. There's actually a video we have on the help desk about how to take that program off and get Drive File Stream back on. You basically just delete the old program and let it sync and bring the information down, and it'll resync and give you the Drive File Stream application. So once you have it, all you have to do is double click on it to open it.
Vince, I'm sorry, what do you have to click on again?
This is Google Drive File Stream. It's in your applications folder.
Okay.
And like I said, if you don't have it, you might have an older program called Backup and Sync. So you have to delete that program first before you can get this one to come down. So once we have it open here, first thing it's going to ask me for is a sign in. So I'm going to sign with my test account. And I'm signed in now, so I'll see the notification that's actually setting up. This will give me a little welcome tutorial here. We can just skip through this. So once you're signed in, the first thing you'll see is the Google Drive app. The Google Drive shows up right on your desktop here. This is where your files will go. So let's close out applications here and go inside and take a look at what we have. So once you open Google Drive, you see you have two things here. You have My Drive and you have Shared Drives. My Drive is where all of your stuff will go. So if I go inside, I don't have anything here. You probably have some existing docs here. You probably have things from Google Docs and Sheets and maybe some other stuff in this folder. So it probably won't be empty for you. But I don't have anything in this account, so it's totally empty. So this is just a folder on your computer, as you could see, like any other you have. If I go ahead and take, for example, I have the high school second floor map here. I can just drag this right over to it, and it's going to pop it right in. But you notice how it actually made a copy of it. So I still have the original one right here, and I have the one I just dragged in now. What happens here is whenever you move between your desktop or any other folder and this drive, you'll try to copy the file. What you probably want to do is actually move it instead of copy it. So I'm going to delete this for a second. I'm going to drag this back over again. And if you notice, there's actually a little green plus symbol on that by my mouse. That means it's going to make a copy that will not move it. If I hold down my command key, that will go away. I'm going to hold the command key and just drop it right in. And you could see it actually moves it right through. So it deletes the original from my computer and it puts the correct one here in my drive. Now I have a lot of files on this desktop here. I could do this one by one, or I could try to, drag them and try to get the drive out of there. But there's actually an easier way to pull all of this in. So the first thing I'd recommend doing is actually creating a folder, put everything in from your desktop. I'll just call it desktop and make it easy to find. There we go. Now throw this one in here. And let's open a second Finder window here. And you can see that your desktop is actually visible in the Finder. It's all the same files here. I'll make this really easy and just go right to Edit. I'm going to select all. And then I'm going to drag these files. And once again, I'm going to hold the Command key and put it right in the desktop I just created. And you can see everything's off my desktop. It's all inside this new Google Drive folder. Yeah, every single document goes here. You can still work with them the way you have before. One thing I'd recommend doing, especially for the files on your computer, is let's go back to that folder we created here. If you right click on it, you'll actually have an option for Drive File Stream. You can make it available offline. This guarantees it'll always be on your computer, so you have to download it from the internet every time you open it. Otherwise, if you have an internet connection, you may not be able to get to it. You want to have it so it's available offline no matter what. If I go inside this folder, you can see all the files I have here. I have one in particular. It's a Word document that has some word art in it. Close out that. It actually has this effect on the text here. It has drop shadow and kind of an outline on it. This is something that's only supported in Word. So if I were to go on the Google Drive website and try to open this, I'm going to show you what's going to happen here. So let's go into Chrome and go to Google Drive. And we have our fancy document here. And you can see it previews the document for me. Nothing has changed at this point with it, but notice that actually the text has changed. I don't have the outline, I don't have the drop shadow anymore. If I go ahead and go with this open with, and I decide to do Google Docs, I can do that. No, actually let me edit the file like it's a Word document, just as I could normally, but that's still gone. And this is where the one misconception comes into play here. If I make a change to this now, let's say, for example, I put a 2 on it, just to make sure it's changed in Google and not on Microsoft Word. And I go back here. And let's go to that same file on my computer now and see what it looks like. It'll take a second for it to sync down here. Okay, so it did the change. So if I open this up in Word again, notice it stripped out that formatting. So this is what happens. If you change a document in Google Docs, that's a Word document or Excel document, you will lose formatting like this. So for documents like this, the best thing to do is only work on them within Microsoft Word or Excel, the programs that made them. This is kind of similar to what happens if you were to open a Word document in Pages, for example. It will support it, but it may strip formatting out. And that's really one of the biggest differences there. 1 second here. Come on. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. Okay, so really that's about all there is to it. I mean, it's simply a matter of dragging your stuff in there and making sure you're moving in rather than copying it in. And from there, you can pretty much organize anything you want to within this folder, however makes it easy for you to get to. And you can also make shortcuts too. One thing you can do here is like we have our desktop folder. Let's say you want to get to it faster than going through my drive. You can actually just right click on it and make an alias. And we can drag that to my desktop here. Delete the copy. So if I double click on the alias, you can see it pulls up the same exact folder. So it's really just one click to get to everything you had there before.
I have a question.
Sure.
Like our test generators and things like that. So we have a
Mhm.
folder on my desktop.
Mm-hmm.
How do you just bring them over to?
Mm-hmm.
And it would,
Any files branch work the same way as that. You just drag it right over and you hold on the control or the command key to copy it, move it over rather, and then you're there.
in that folder, then I just open it from the,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to open as, it's not going to change it, like you
Mm-mm.
were saying. Okay.
No, as long as you open from your computer through the Finder the way I did there, it'll always open whatever it had before. It's the only time things change, you try going through the website. Instead, you try to open through the website
Okay.
and make a change to it.
Sounds good.
So, I mean, it's really just another folder on your computer is all it is.
And then I had Google, I had that open before, but now it's just like a gray box at the top.
If you click on that, do you have
It's
any options when you click on it?
Really, it's just spinning now.
Okay. You may want to restart your machine when you have a chance to get to reload.
It's just spinning. Okay, so I should just restart and then everything should be fine.
Yeah, it'll reload it back up after that.
Okay.
But yeah, if you don't want to use the web interface, you don't have to. As far as Google Drive is concerned, it's there. It's available if you ever want to see anything, on another computer, or if it's easier to get to it that way. But anything you open on your computer, you can open the same way.
Okay.
The only thing you might see occasionally is if you have, let's say you go in your recent documents, for example, and try to open there, it probably won't work because it'll look for the old location at first. Once you start opening things up in Excel and Word and all the other programs from the new location, they'll start to fill that up instead, and those will start to work again.
Okay. Try again.
I have a question, Vince.
Sure.
Documents that are created in PowerPoint, will they convert automatically into Google Slides and
Nothing will convert automatically.
Okay.
So when you drop it in there, it stays exactly as it was before. It's only if you open it through the website. So if you try to go to drive.google.com and open it from there and you make any changes from there, that's when it'll convert it and you'll start to lose formatting.
I guess my question, Vince, is why do we have to do this? What's changing?
Well, we're moving away from CrashPlan and we're going over to Google Drive instead.
Okay.
That's the big difference.
So you have to go through Finder in order for changes not to be made on.
Right. Yeah. If you try to open it within the website, that's where things become a little murky because you're trying to edit in something else that didn't create it.
Okay. That's going to be hard because I'm used to opening it through the website. Okay.
Well, I mean, if you had Word documents already, you can still open them on the computer. I think that's why you probably opened them before.
Okay.
I mean, if it's a Google document, for example, is created in Google on the website, you're perfectly fine opening it that way. That's the best way to do it.
Okay.
It's one of those things. It's an interesting feature because they try to make it helpful by allowing you to add the stuff on the website, but it's also kind of a problem because it'll change things on you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you ever actually used Pages, Apple's basically the equivalent to Word, you could actually open Word documents in Pages, but it doesn't do it quite that well, and it will lose things in the same way, actually.
Okay.
Because it didn't make it originally.
Okay.
I'm back. I was able to log back in, but now it says I'm not able to make a folder because it's not available in Google Drive file stream yet.
So were you trying to create the folder inside of here?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that because that's basically a container. That's not your drive.
So where do I go to make it?
It's inside my drive.
Oh,
So you can make anything inside here. So what
I,
you see the two folders here is the My Drive folder is where you put all of your stuff.
okay.
And the shared drives are things that you have access to. Like you could see we all have district info README in there. That's one. Or district
I
info
think I
now, I
was
guess.
yours had nothing in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you always have those two folders, just your My Drive and your shared drives. You have to go inside My Drive.
Alright.
I have the My Drive and I have everything in there single. I should put that in one folder.
It's totally up to you, honestly. You can do it however you want to have it organized. It's probably all your Google stuff right now. And you can
Okay.
leave it that way if you want, or you can make folders within it and organize it that way.
Okay. And then, so what's in there now is everything I did during the closure in the spring and everything I've done now.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you're saying just literally take the folders on my desktop and I'm literally just sliding them into my drive.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's it. Okay. Thank you so much. That was a huge help. Less
Oh yeah.
than I thought
Like
it
I
was.
said, if you hold down the command key, that's the biggest thing. You don't want to copy, you want to move it. Because if you just try to move it over, it's going to actually make copies inside and keep the ones on your desktop.
Oh, okay. So
So if you hold down that command key, when you see that little plus symbol,
command key, and then what else? What's the command?
that's it. So you'll see when you're dragging that file over, you'll see that little that green plus on the file.
Okay.
That means it's going to copy it. You probably don't want to copy it. So if you see that green plus before you drop it, just hold down command and you'll see it go away.
Yeah, if you copy it and you delete the original, then it also delete the copy without you knowing it.
Okay.
So it's better to move it. Is that right, Vince?
Well, yeah, because you don't want to have it in both locations. Like if you just take your files from your desktop and just drag them right in, it's going to make a copy in there and also leave the ones on the desktop.
Okay.
Where if you hold on that command key when you see the plus there,
oh, gotcha.
And that just moves it all over, so that way it goes off your desktop and it's only in the drive.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow, that really helped me. Okay, thanks. See you guys.
Yeah, and you could do it with one or two files too if you want to try it first and see how that works, and just go with the whole thing after that.
I just did 2 files. It was easy. So thank you so
yeah.
much. This has been weighing on my shoulders. All right. Take care, guys. Bye.
You too.
All right, Vince. So I have, I guess, some probably really basic, dumb questions, but
Sure.
Using me. So I've been using Google Drive for quite some time, and I basically work within Google Drive. So I have an elaborate file structure there.
Yes.
I use my desktop basically as my downloads folder, and I'll either trash those or upload into Google any files that I want to keep,
right,
or keep organized. So my question is, how is this different? So why would I need this if I'm already uploading to Google into the cloud? What does FileStream do?
Most people aren't doing this, what you're doing right now. Most people are just working on their computers. If they have Photoshop or Word, they do all of that on their computer and leave it only on their computer. Okay. And if they work in Google Docs, of course, it's in Google Docs automatically. The difference here is that we're moving over to Drive FileStream, our backup system. So anything that's not within Drive FileStream is not backed up. So if your computer, were to go in the lake or something, anything that's on that computer would be lost. It's not inside that folder.
So is it just a way then to facilitate non-Google files and save them to the cloud?
It's an interface, basically. It lets you use cloud storage on your computer pretty much, within the Finder, just the way you could with any other folder.
If I threw my computer in the lake right now, all I would really lose is any of the old files that I have on the hard drive, including the desktop. I wouldn't really lose anything that I would need, so.
Yeah, it's a lot of people are still saving everything on the computer. That's the big concern there.
I see. Okay, so this is really more for moving away from CrashPlan, which backs up hard drives, right? And moving to the cloud. Okay, all right. I knew it was a fundamental question, but it was confusing.
Yeah, and it's also too, one thing that's useful with FileStream as well, you may not have used before, is you can choose to have things being only online within FileStream. Like you see that little cloud icon, it tells you it's basically a streamed file, so it downloads every time you go to use it. if you have really large files you're not using, like let's say you have a video library or anything else that you don't really access every day, but you don't want to have taken up space in your computer but still need it, you can make it online only. So that way it takes off your computer, but it's in Google if you ever need it. That's kind of
Okay.
convenient.
Well, that would be the same as me uploading that file to Google Drive, right?
Yeah, it's a little easier through the computer side though, because you still have that reference. You still have it in a folder.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Because it's
Alright,
a little clunky
this
having
is-
to go through the web browser and drag and drop between that. So
Mhm. I'm using Backup and Sync right now, and I never have to think about it.
yeah.
So,
One big difference too is Backup and Sync. Backup and Sync is kind of more of the same program they have kind of geared towards home users, though not necessarily institutions or businesses or anything.
okay.
And the big fundamental difference between those two is the shared drives. So like we have the new district info. It used to be the district README in first class. It's now a shared drive inside Google. You can actually see that within Drive File Stream. Because if you go into your shared drives, you'll see that listed right there within the Finder.
Okay. Yeah, and I've been able to find that before. I can right off the top of my head. I've been able. It must be what they call the team drives.
Yeah, they
So
renamed it a couple times. That's the way Google usually does things, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, so what would be the benefit to me then if I'm already mostly working within the cloud, within Google? I don't quite see what the benefit is.
The biggest one is shared drives, having access to those immediately right on your computer.
Okay.
Other than that, the ability to choose what files are on your computer, which files aren't on your computer. It's more fine-grained in
Okay.
Drive File Stream.
Okay. And do I manually have to move files over from my desktop into Google File Stream?
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Yeah, so everything that's outside of File Stream is not backed up. So if you want to have it backed up, it has to go inside
Anything
your
I'm
My Drive
working,
folder.
obviously, if I'm working within my own Google Drive, those I don't need to worry about. Obviously, there are.
Yeah, those are all taken care of.
Okay, so it's really only. I still don't quite get it because if I'm worried about a file that I haven't really built in Google, I could just move it to my own cloud. So why would I need files?
You could, but I mean, it's a more roundabout way of doing things. Because I mean, let's say you're working out, you create a new Word document on your computer, you could just click right on Google Drive and then just save it right there directly, without having an extra step of having to drag it over somewhere or manage files.
I could save it right into Google File Stream. Is that what you're saying?
It's
Oh.
a folder on your computer, so you could save anything you want to in there that way.
All right, now I'm kind of understanding. As opposed to going through the steps of going to file upload, or folder
Right,
upload.
exactly.
Okay, now I'm kind of getting it. All right.
Yeah, because anything goes in that folder automatically goes up to Google automatically, so it matches
right.
everything from there.
Okay, so if I use my desktop as my download folder, I really could create a folder within Livestream called desktop. And would I be able to change my browsers to basically download to that folder?
I know that I think they do let you change that actually. I'm not sure about Safari. I believe that Chrome will let you choose the download folder automatically. You can choose a different location for it.
Yeah,
I don't know if Safari still does that, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd have to look too, but that would work though, right? I basically I'd be saving all those files to the file stream desktop folder as opposed to
definitely
hard drive desktop.
Yeah, and you can choose location. I'm looking at it here actually in Safari. You can change it to be wherever you want, so you can make a folder inside there to save to.
All right, then I know everything's in the cloud basically.
Yeah, definitely.
And then any old files that I have that are still on the hard drive, I could upload those to FileStream, or really, I mean, I could do it to my own account too in Google, and then I could delete all of them, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Hard drive.
Or you could just, like I said, you could just move them in. Actually, if you hold on the command key, you'll just pull them in. It'll remove them from the computer automatically.
Stream, and then they'll populate the same folders. So if I have
whatever structure you have, it'll keep the same structure. We'll just drop them whatever folder you choose.
So it wouldn't like strip away all the folders and line up the files as a giant list. Okay, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, all that structure stays there. It's actually, if you ever used an external hard drive or a thumb drive on your computer, it basically behaves exactly the same.
Okay, all right.
Except it's always there. It's the only difference.
Okay, all right. I think that's it for me. Appreciate it.
Alrighty. you have any questions, just let me know.
Okay,
And
well,
at the end, I was going to say, if you have any questions too, the help desk is there. You can submit a ticket for it. We have that whole system in place. So if anything comes up,
okay, that sounds great. I appreciate it, Vince. Thank you.
oh, sure, that's no problem. You have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
So Vince, it's Carol Obernauer.
Hi,
Can you
Carol.
hear me?
How's it going?
It's going okay. So I have the Google Drive set up on my desktop, and I know how to make a folder and start to do the slide over. So if I slide a file over as I'm doing it and it has the green button, if I hold down the command, it will simply remove it from my screen, but move it into the new folder.
Right, exactly.
Okay. My question to you is, I have a lot of things that I only work on once a year that are fairly sizable. Like there's an Act 80 folder that I have that I work on in January, February, March, every spring. So that's not going to be a problem, like to pull that over and it'll keep. Okay.
No, not at all. It'll keep everything in there as it is.
Good. Okay. Because I liked what you said with Matt about it'll bring it in the same structure. So if it's already in a
Right.
folder that says that, it'll just carry it over that way.
Yeah, if you have 100 folders inside that are all nested and all in different places, it'll keep all that exactly as it is. So that will not get
Wonderful.
converted to anything, which is good.
Okay. Then the other thing, when you were talking about, so pretend that I've moved and created in the Google Drive, the new desktop. And then you talked about making an alias folder so that you can, could that stay on the desktop so I don't have to go
Yeah.
searching every day?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely, because that's nothing but a shortcut. So there's really nothing it contains. It just is a quick
Yeah.
way to get to the folder inside of your drive, so that if you want to have an easier way
Lovely.
to get to it.
Okay, that's good because I was really nervous about all of this. So this is good. Okay, I'm going to start tackling it now.
Alrighty.
Thank you very much.
Oh, absolutely. If anything comes up, just let us know.
Okay, anything more for today?
Oh, that was it, actually. I was just telling Matt, actually, the only other thing I had is if you have any problems, yeah, we have our help desk at help.fca.edu. So if you want to submit a ticket there, if anything goes wrong or you have any questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question. So I did the first steps with the applications and signing in and all that, and I have the icon on my desktop now.
Sure.
When I click on it, nothing happens.
Okay. So you see it up on your menu bar there in the top section of the screen.
Yeah.
And if you click on that, you don't see anything. It doesn't do anything.
What do you mean? When I click on the icon on my desktop, it does nothing.
Well, I mean, on the one on the top of the screen, you should see it up by your clock. Up there should be a.
Okay, now there's a blue spinning thing that goes on forever.
Okay, so I just quit out and reopened it here. I see you have a copy on your desktop here, a shortcut. We can probably get rid of that because you don't really need that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it looks like everything is good here. I see you have your My Drive and your shared drives.
So I would open the My Drive and then I can start.
You need to start moving things into it.
Okay. That's all I needed then.
Alrighty.
I'm going to give that a try. And what was the step with the green versus the not green? You hit command or something?
Yeah, so when you see that green plus symbol on it, that means you'll copy it over rather than moving it. So you'll have a copy in both places. If you hold down the command key before you drop it, it'll go away and it'll just move it instead. That's what you want to do.
What if you want to have the copy?
Is there a particular reason you want to have the copy? Because you probably want to have two versions of the same file. Because that gets kind of confusing then.
From what I've heard from the other teachers who've moved their stuff over, now they're having a hard time finding their things. So
If you move it over, it'll be there. I mean, it's going into another folder, so there's not much can go wrong in that process.
Okay, let me give it a try.
Okay, so let's go on to where to go for help. If there's anything else, if you have any questions, the first place to go is help.fca.edu. We have a number of resources up here, including some documents about Google Drive file stream. We also have some videos up there too as well. You can see all these things and go back and replay them if you want. And if you still have any issues or anything isn't working quite right, you can always submit a help desk ticket and we'll be able to get back to you and get that taken care of.